Welcome. This is Dr. Matt Bergman. I want to share with you 5 essential tips for successful role prompting. Now, role prompting is a technique that you would use to give AI a role to increase the accuracy of your results. And one of the ways that we can do that with large language models is we can clearly define the part or role that we want AI to play. So instead of saying something like, hey, explain how to help customers, we might get a very, very general response. However, if we go into ChatGPT and we do something like this and say, hey, act as a Goodwill store manager and explain how to help a customer looking for affordable workwear, we're going to get a much different response right here than what we would get with just a general prompt. So giving that background really important. It instantly changes the AI's tone and meets the need of your audience. All right, idea number 2 is adding context and details. I always like to say context matters. And when you're talking about context, that means the relevant background knowledge that you want AI to know to generate a more realistic response. So, what we could do is taking this a step further, we could basically say, look, I want to give you some background about this particular manager, right? And so, what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to act as a store manager at Goodwill, but I want it to be in Northeastern Pennsylvania. And you're helping a new team member understand, okay, how to handle donation drop offs on busy weekends. So, this is the role that we want you to play. And we're giving you that context because that's going to be very specific to that industry or that specific person. Now, another thing that you could do too is that in the past, role prompting was really important for many AI models because they couldn't necessarily handle the logic. Now you're starting to see more advanced models like ChatGPT 4.0, 4.5. They're able to handle that in a very general way. However, what may actually help you is asking AI itself to create a role for future prompts. So, this is what I mean. So, I'm going to go down here, I'm going to create a brand new prompt. And when I do that, I'm going to say, hey, write a background bio for a store manager at Goodwill in Northeastern Pennsylvania. And I'm going to put some constraints on it. I'm going to say, write, I'm just going to say, write a paragraph of of a background bio for a store manager. Now, what this will do is this will allow us then to take this and we can now reuse this in future prompts. So, if we want to take this bio right here and we want to put in this, and then we want to say something to the effect of describe how Jane might solve a problem of a lack of sales in, we'll say, a lack of shoe sales at Goodwill. Okay. So, this particular example right here, now they're going to take that persona and they're going to explain it as if Jane were doing this. So, this is really great if, say, you're a teacher and you want to talk about a character, how a character might respond, how a person in a certain profession might respond. Really great idea. All right. Idea number 3 right here, clearly state your goal. So, clear goals matter very, very importantly. So, what should a store manager say to a team? Probably not a really great example right there. So we might want to change it up a little bit. And we might say, once again, sticking with that prompt with acting as a Goodwill manager, what we would want to do is explain to new employees how to restock shelves efficiently before a weekend sale. So we want to know how to restock shelves efficiently before a weekend sale. And so this right here would allow us to have that specific answer that we're looking for. All right, number 4 right here is building guardrails and constraints. So when we're thinking of, I think of a bowling alley and those bumpers that you might need to help guide the bowling ball to the right spot. It's the same thing right here with using AI. if you put a general thing, so if you put in something such as, all right, create an orientation for new employees, that's going to give you a very broad range of results. However, if you change it up, you put in some guardrails or constraints, you might say, okay, act as a goodwill trainer and outline a 10-minute orientation script for a new employee using simple language and no printed materials. So this right here would allow you to then have that 10-minute script, or perhaps you want to say maybe a certain amount of time, a certain amount of words, a certain length. That's really important as well. All right, last but not least, this is probably the most important way of role prompting, and that is adjusting the tone and style. You want to know your audience, and so that's going to be really important. And there's a couple different ways that we can do that. You could just say, "Hey, write a new script for new customers." That encourages them to ask for help, and that might provide some really good responses, but it also might provide some that, well, maybe not aren't very are tone deaf or aren't very friendly. So what you may want to do instead is you may want to say, act as a friendly store assistant at Goodwill. Write a welcome script for new customers that encourages them for help. And so, as you can see right here, this is going to be a warm and friendly script. This could be great for training materials. Heck, you could even use it for just doing things like an email prompting, etc. So this is a very helpful resource. When I am angry at somebody, I generally put together an email and then I put it in ChatGPT and I say, "Hey, look, can we make it more friendly? Can we make it less confrontational? Can we do a tone check right here?" And that is really helpful. So another thing that you could possibly do is you could possibly use, just an example. Okay, so a pro technique with this might be something like this. So let's imagine that we have a store, an employee named Gwen. Okay, so Gwen is our employee. We're working with Gwen, and we want to, and this is perfect for like chatbot development and everything. So the following is conversation with a retail assistant named Gwen. What we may say is, Gwen, the customer may say, um, "Hi, who are you?" Okay. And what we may want to do is whoops, here, let me give you another example right here off of my website here. This actually is off of my blog. So you can check out this example right down here. And there's a really good example right here on Gwen. So let's put this in because this is going to be a little bit easier. I'm going to go ahead and pop this in. And I'm going to say, look, this is a conversation with a friendly retail assistant. The assistant tone is friendly and inquisitive. Human, hello, how are you? This is just a sample. Hello, my name is Gwen. It's a pleasure to meet you. How can I help you today? Tell me about your shoe sale this weekend. And then I'm leaving this blank. Now, what I have right here is it's going to allow me to see this personality. I can say, I'd like to look for a pair of dress shoes. And then, so what's going to happen is they're going to give me some questions. This is great for even helping, say, for instance, someone navigate a job interview questions. This is great for sales techniques. We can customize this for chatbots, but all of these things are really helpful for making it more effective. So, 5 essential tips for successful prompting: define the role, add the context. Remember, context matters. Clearly state your goal, build in those guardrails, and adjust the tone. If you can follow these sort of methods right here, you're going to be gold when it comes to getting efficient prompts and using role prompting to get the benefit of your most effective prompts yet.